Well, hello, folks. Hello. Well, I have decided what I'm going to do. um, I know I've missed a day or two here, I think, and part of that is outside of the fact that I just kind of wasn't up to it one day there. The other part is that I've been sort of thinking, and I mentioned this before, about talking to you about making a film and maybe bringing you in on the process of filmmaking, animated filmmaking, on something that I'm doing. I'm working on a little project right now, and what you're seeing here is animation from it. Let's see here. Let me bring this down where you can see it a little better. Hold on here. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, that's what I want, right? So, yeah. This is a little film, a little short that I'm doing. I'm not exactly sure right now how long it's going to be. This is just a scene from it, by the way. This is not the whole thing. Um, it's a little idea that I have, and it's a little story about these kids. Um, um, let's see, I think I could probably, let's see here, if I can pull up. Let's see. I think I can. I don't know if this is going to affect you guys seeing me or not. Let's see here. Let's pull this up. Ding, ding. And pull this over here. There we go. Now, I don't know if that affected you guys or not. But anyway, this is what I'm working on. It's a little, it's a short that I'm doing. And it's about these four friends. And anyways, it's a little short film that I just thought I'd make. I actually did a book, which I'm actually considering self-publishing about these four kids. And so anyway, but I liked the idea. God gave me the idea, so I thought, well, maybe it'll make a nice little short film. So I'm gonna make a little short film. I don't know how long it'll be. Like I said, my guess is probably gonna be under 10 minutes. My guess would be. So, anywhoosies, that's what this is. And let's see if I can reduce the size of this. There we go. So, anyways, that's what that is. Okay. So anyway, I thought what I would do is I thought that I would share with you the process so that you could see me working on it. I thought that might be fun. Okay. I've already done several scenes, so this is not the first one. Um, what's happening here is I have all four characters. Um, they're all putting a sign together, which will be the title of this thing. And so this is the little Latino kid, little Mexican kid. There's a white kid, obviously a white kid, a black kid, an Asian kid, and a Latino kid or a Mexican kid. And so yeah, and they're just friends. So I just thought it would be just a fun thing to put together. I'm kind of excited about it. So anyway, this is a scene from it, and this scene's all animated now. So what I'm gonna be doing with this is over however long it takes. I'm going to take you guys with me on this. And so that means that sometimes you'll see me animate scenes, color scenes, create stuff. I'm basing it. The book I did, I have all the illustrations for the book. And at some point I may show you that. But what I'm going to probably be doing is showing you stuff as I'm animating it and then coloring it and finishing it. And, yeah. So, anyways, I just thought it might be something that you all would be interested in, and I'll do it the same way that I did with the other animate forum that I did. So these will just be they will be 20 to 30 minute bits so that, you know, I'm not going to wear you good people out, wear out your patience. But I like doing these things in real time because I think they just are a lot more helpful when you can see someone doing something in real time and you don't have to go back in and try to figure out what they did. You know, I can literally talk about it. I can show you what I'm doing. I can do it right in front of you and you can see it. And plus, you know, you'll have the video always, so you can always go back to it if you're making your own film. You know, maybe it'll be helpful to you. That's why I do it. All right, so let's see. So, anyways, this character is all animated. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to color him. So, I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to do a color line. Let's see here. So, I'm going to add a layer, an empty layer, and it's be 2 frames. Okay. Then I'm going to take layer 1, which is where the animation is up here. If you can see my, let's see, I don't think that's in your way. Pretty sure it's not. I can never tell. I'm going to bring this down. So I just want to make sure that this image is not interfering with anything. I think it's fine. All right. So, anyways, up here in the corner here, you'll see I'm hovering over the layer, which this layer here is the animation layer. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the opacity on this down to about 36%. Then I'll go to this layer. So the reason that I'm doing that is so that when I ink or put my color line on Miguel here, you know, I'll be able to. I'm doing it on a separate layer. All right, so it looks like I got a black line on him all around. Looks like I'm going to go to a solid color line here. Use black, and let's see. I've got my brush set at six pixels. All right, so let's see. I think, what was I gonna do? I think I was gonna have him have red. Was I? I think so. Let's see. I gotta find that. Let's see. Dink. Yeah. So yes, that's gonna be red. What I'm talking to myself over here. I'm going to pick red for what he's painting. So, okay, so with that being the case, then I'll paint the brush here, but I won't paint the red because I want all of that area to be red. All right. So you want to make sure that if you're doing a line, some of the characters that I've got here have self-color lines, meaning that the color of the line is not black. It's actually a color. So, and you'll see later on when I show you other layers of this. Some of the characters have more color lines. Miguel has got an all black line around him. I think probably because the colors I'm choosing are a little darker to match his skin tone. So, all right. Okay, yeah. Sometimes it's better to make your image bigger when you're, you know, like it might be good for me, for instance, to bring this up a bit. Maybe bring it up to, say, 250%. And then I can move it around. So I might be able to see the line that I'm inking a little better. Plus, I might also be able to get a better bead on what I'm doing. I'm trying to stay on mic here. I think I'm going to have to get myself one of those hanging mics. So let's keep it close to my mouth. Okay. So yeah, Miguel looks like he's got, yeah, yeah, he's gonna, well, let's see, I could make that line self-color. That's good. I think what I'm gonna do on his underneath his eye line, I think I'm gonna make that a self-color line, so it doesn't make his eyes look too harsh. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. All right. Okay. Remember that you can use the palette, like over here where I have the palette where I'm waving the mouse now. It's a good idea sometimes to go ahead and pick colors that you want for your character and just keep them in the palette so that, you don't have to go looking for them. You already have them, so you can just go right to them, put them on. There we go. I remember when I first started doing animation, one of the first jobs I ever had was inking and painting cells, which I'm kind of glad in some ways I did that because it actually helped me with my line quality, so that I made it a little easier for me to do cleaner lines, so I didn't have to work so hard to make my drawings look a little nicer. So that had a lot of advantages. All right, so now Miguel's skin color. Let's see. Do I have this in here? I don't know if I have. Oh, I think I do. Oh yeah, I do. There it is, right there. All right. So okay. So this is what I'm going to do underneath his eye. Let's see. I think I'll put this behind. So this line here is his skin color, and I'm going to put that underneath that eye line. Okay. So now let me go out. I'll go back out to fit the window. All right. So he's going to be painting red. So I'm going to put a red line around the paint right here. And then I'm going to use kind of a light rosy color line here where the brush stops. All right. Okay, so now I can just use my paint bucket here and I can paint that red. Let's see, Miguel's hair is black. We got his skin color right here. Lip color is a darker brown. That's here. Okay. So let's see. Skin color again. The same. So that's going to be for the hands. Sometimes I have to go in and fill in areas where I lose the color. Sometimes it'll break up and be little white areas, so I have to make sure I get that right. Let's see. Okay, I think if that's at the right color. Let's see. Okay. So I know I got a purple here. Let's see. No, it's not that purple. Not that. It's not that. Right? No, it's not that. Gotta find it. Let's see. It's in here some. Oh, that looks like it. Maybe a little darker. Maybe not quite that dark. Yeah. All right. So let's see then. That would be. I guess I can put that here. Right. Okay, so you see how I did that? I put that in here, so that palette number is there. So now I should be able to color this all. Yeah, purple. Okay, that's the right color. He has blue pants, which are dark blue here. Good. Let's see. On the paintbrush, I think I'll just go with a dark color on the paintbrush. Is that too dark? I guess that's okay. All right. So now what I do sometimes, I don't always do this all the time. Sometimes I would paint one color all the way through and then go back and paint another color all the way through. But if I'm doing, if I usually do that when I'm painting a sketchier drawing, like I did in the other example. But because I'm dropping color in here and I'm just doing paint bucket, I'm doing all the color at one time, which I don't know that I'd say it's necessarily faster. I wouldn't say it's faster, but I think it's because, well, I know, I think it's because I know that this method of painting, where I'm just dropping the color in, is going to be fast. So it's like with the sketchy drawing, I kind of have to sometimes go back into the drawing to make sure that the color is going to fill the area. You know, that sometimes it breaks up. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's take this up again. So we can color him and we can do our line. Yeah. See, I think with the rough line, you're sort of, you're sort of having to marshal that line. You're kind of having to go back and make sure there's enough line there to catch all the color. But see, when you do an ink line like this, or you do a hard line, then you don't have to worry anymore, because you know you're doing a solid line, that your paint is going to go right to that solid line. See, so you don't have to worry if it's going to miss it or something, because it won't. You as long as you're connecting the line, of course. I mean, even on a solid line, you have to make sure it's connected. But the only real reason why you'd even bother to do a solid line is so that you could do paint bucket color. So, I mean, this might be slower, but animation is just time consuming. I don't. Once again, there's no shortcut. If you're trying to do something and you want it to look good, you're just gonna have to put the work in. There's just no, you know, no shortcuts. Not well, not yet. Anyway, there's things that the computer can do. Yes, but you know, if you're trying to get a certain kind of quality, you're just better off putting in the effort. And I think most people who are animators probably enjoy what they do so much that it's not an issue about how much work it is. You know, you just do it because you like it. If you don't like it, you're kind of in the wrong business, I think. If you really don't like it enough, you don't want to put the work in, maybe you need to check and see, is this something I really like? Or maybe, maybe you like animation, but maybe the animation part isn't the part you like. Maybe you like doing something else. Maybe there's a function in the process of animation that you like more. Like when I first started doing animation, it was animation that I liked. That was what attracted me to wanting to do it. But I got into other areas, like I got into doing storyboards, and some of that was because I liked telling a story, and I really wanted to do a full blown animated film, but it was just taking a long time, to make something. So, you know, doing a storyboard was kind of like it was a much shorter process of making your film. So that was kind of attractive to me. So I got into doing that. And it was a good thing. But I've always loved animation. So even though doing the storyboarding was a nice secondary thing, it still didn't, it didn't really completely satisfy me. I still wanted to do, um, you know, do the animation and see all the beautiful work that you had to put into it to make it, like a finished thing. So, yep, that's the way it goes. Some things that, like I said, I don't know that you can really get around. Let's see if it's which. So it should be that one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that you can get around hard work in animation. I don't think it doesn't seem like to me that it's possible. It just seems like it's just way too much to do. you know, you could try to get around it, but you just end up frustrating yourself because you ultimately you really can't. You can tell yourself that oh well, I'll do this, I'll do that, but I don't. It's just not really. You're gonna have to put in the work. I'm putting in here. Let's see. This is a good example here of sometimes how you have to kind of fix something. Let's see here, 200%. Okay. See, I got this little black line here popped into the hand, so I got to cover that up. So I'll draw on the front, paint on the front, and I use that skin color to get rid of that. There we go. There's a white background behind all these images, so I'm not going to need to paint any white in here because it's just all going to be lit. It's going to be a white background behind it. Okay. Now each time what I'm doing is I go up here and I go where it says add drawing. I'm adding a drawing after, but it's a blank drawing on that new layer, and then I'm tracing, over everything. So, okay, the black. Let's make sure we got that behind. Okay, let's see. I go up big. We can see what we're doing. Another thing that I like to do when I'm working this way, this kind of work is kind of fun because I don't have to be thinking too hard. So this would be where you could play music, listen to something, a podcast or something while you're working. Because obviously there's so much, like I said, there's a lot of work involved in animation, so it's just natural that you're gonna have these long spans of work where you're doing this kind of thing. Might be doing in betweens on your animation or painting like I'm doing now. And this is where, like, you can listen to music or you can do something else, or you can have some background, something going on. I don't think it's a good idea to do it when you're animating, because when you're animating, you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing. You're trying to think about getting the action right and everything. But when you're doing in betweens, usually you know the charts on the in betweens and where you're placing stuff is a little more of an automatic kind of thing where you can kind of see what it is you got to do. You don't have to think about it too much. You can just kind of dive right in and just get her done. So, yeah. Um, Another thing to keep in mind about inking is, when you're inking your own drawings, you know what to ink and what not to ink. But think about how in the animation pipeline, when you're working at a studio where there's going to be maybe literally hundreds of people working on the same cartoon, imagine the confusion that could happen on, say, inking a drawing. It's like, which line should I ink and which line should I not ink? And those are legitimate questions that have come up in my experience. And so, what you communicate from one department to another is very important because it'll have an effect on your final film. So you need to keep that in mind. Now, of course, when you're doing your own film, like I said, you don't have to worry about that so much because you know what you're doing. You know where the blips and the hiccups are. And there's things that you can take into account in the way you do your film where you would probably be saving yourself a lot of time, say, explaining to someone else that's going to follow you what it is you want. A big part of studio production is communication to the next department. So you have to make sure that the next layer of people down from you are understanding what you want. So there are rules that you'll find that when you go to work for a company like Disney or DreamWorks or whatever, they will have rules about the work, about how you communicate to the people that are in your crew, you know, and the kinds of things you have to do so that the folks in the crew understand what it is that is in the work you've done. You know, if you've accurately communicated to everyone down the line what you're doing, you know, because if it's not clear, whoops, oopsie, oh, it's on the front. That's why it's what's wrong. Okay, wrong. Let's go. Fills in behind. Let's see. Should be there. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, if there's any confusion, you can kind of, you know, you can deal with that. You know, and then, you know, sometimes people use, studios will use, you know, they'll say inter-office memos to say, oh, you know, all of the in-betweens, you've got to watch lines on certain drawings because the, you know, the in-betweens might not be figured out proper, or the you know, if lines aren't completed, then you need to go back in and make sure the lines are completed. You know, there'll be things like that where they will talk to you about what's, you know, what policies are and stuff. So let's see, where are we? We're at 27 minutes. I think we'll stop here. So, anyways, let's see. Save that. Bingo. All right. So let's see where we're at. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, you just got, you know, there's so many things to be aware of when you're working on your own film. If you have other people, and even if you're doing, say, a film and you have other people that are working on the film, and it's even if it is a independent project that you're doing with a small crew, that's great. You know, I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't have to be just because, you know, you don't have a big budget to make something doesn't mean you can't do it with a small crew. You can do it with a small crew just as easily as you could do it with a large crew. So it's really up to you. Whoops. Go back. What are you doing? All right, come on. Let's see. There we go. Oop. Okay, let's see. Play. Anyways. All right. Well, anyway, I'm happy to take you guys along with me on this. And if you have questions about something, certainly don't hesitate to put that in the comment section about what I'm doing. If there's something that you saw me do and maybe you weren't clear on it, let me know. All right, folks. Have a great day. I will see you probably tomorrow. And don't forget, Jesus is Lord.